Tonight, as I return to the Salty Podcast, I begin by honoring a very special person, my husband, best friend, and first mate, Scott Myrick, who recently passed away 16 days ago unexpectedly. Many of you know him as Salty Scotty. I have proclaimed him Salty Scotty after he made his first Gulf crossing with me. We both loved how the name caught on social media and even with people around town where we live in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Scott and I met in 1996, became a couple in 1999, and married in 2000. We spent 25 years building a life together, including creating a home life in Gulf Shores, a successful real estate team with Remax of Orange Beach, traveling to many exotic places, and sailing, and much more. He was my biggest supporter in everything I did, including when I dove into sailing. He encouraged me through every step, from research to taking sailing lessons to buying my first sailboat. While he didn't always join me on the water, he was always there behind the scenes, cheering me on, constantly checking on me, tracking me, and holding down the fort here with our 4 babies, our cats. When coming into a dock in windy or crazy conditions, I wanted Scott either on the boat or at the dock to greet me. He could always keep the boat off the dock while I tied up. Restarting the podcast after such a loss felt very uncertain, but I was encouraged by my spiritual mentor and friend, Mary, to go forward, especially since the podcast was another thing Scott proudly supported me in. Tonight's guests are incredibly fitting for this moment. Scott admired Hayden and Ray Dean of sailing vessel Island Spirit, and when any issue came up, his advice was often, ask Hayden and Ray Dean. Having them here tonight is a great comfort to me. They were already scheduled to discuss their 3-month provisioning plan for the Bahamas, which worked out perfectly. Let's welcome them now, Hayden and Ray Dean.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Tingley. We love that, Salty Scotty. Our heart breaks for you. We're here for you, buddy.
And we're
Thank
honored
you.
to be tonight's your return to the Salty Podcast. We're honored that
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's comforting. So thank you guys for doing this.
Special man. We love them.
Yes. Thank you. He thought a lot of you guys. He followed you. I think he commented on your social media post more than I did.
I love watching him fly the drone always. He was so good at the drone. He was a drone master. Yeah.
So tonight we're going to talk about Ray Dean's going to do most of the talking. We're going to talk about your provisioning skills and for the Bahamas. And so you said last time that provisioning for the Caribbean, not so much an ordeal, but for the Bahamas, you really need to have what you need for the 3 months if you're planning on spending 3 months.
That's absolutely correct. The grocery stores there have limited supplies, and so you need to bring with you what you want to bring.
Okay. All right. So try not to cough. What is the first picture you want up, Hayden?
The map named number 1.
Yeah, number 1 picture there just shows the overview. Again, I'll talk about the charts. Ray Dean will talk about the provisioning. The concept of you're going to go down to the Bahamas. Tinsley and I both have the same cough. And you're going to go down from Miami down to the Exumas. So this is what the big picture looks like. And what we want to talk about is when you leave Miami, Biscayne Bay, my happy place, and you head out to the Bahamas, the Exuma chain does not have many places to provision or buy groceries. So what we're going to do is talk about how you provision up in Miami, and then where down the Exuma chain you can provision up, such as Staniel Key, and then Black Point, and then the Georgetown. So we're going to look at those individual places.
So before you click off of this map, I'd like to say that number 1 shows West Palm Beach, which has a great anchorage and the Lake Worth Inlet. There's a free dinghy dock and there's a free trolley that takes you to a public supermarket. So if you're going to the Abacos, it's super easy to provision in West Palm.
Yeah, West Palm is fabulous. We love it.
So number 2, we prefer provisioning down in Miami and sailing in Biscayne Bay while we wait for weather.
Yeah, Biscayne Bay is my number 2 happy place on the whole East Coast. I love it. Number 1 is Block Island Town, but Miami is one happy place. If you jump to the next slide now, we're gonna zoom into the Biscayne Bay area and talk about where you would place your boat to do any of this provisioning work.
Okay.
So, about the charts first, and Radine can take over. The X's are where you would anchor. There's basically two primary anchorages over on Key Biscayne to the east. There's two anchorages, one at No Name Harbor and one at Nixon Harbor. And then over to the west, there's two X's that are off of Coconut Grove. You could be in at the docks at Coconut Grove, Dinner Key, or you could be out on the mooring field where the outer X is. And we've used both of these, and we love them both. So, and then you see the two areas. So, Radine?
I'd like to talk about this map a little bit. If you start in a clockwise motion on the top right-hand side, it says fuel and water. That marks the very best place to get fuel and water in the entire Biscayne Bay. It's called Crandon Park. It is a state park, and the fuel dock is easy to approach, and they have free water and a pump out. And so that is our go. It may seem far across the water from Coconut Grove. It's not far, and it's worth the trip for the convenience you find at Crandon Park State Park.
Yeah, I have to interject here about the state park. The fuel dock is such that it's designed with two 45-degree chamfered edges, and you can come in and the wind blows in such a way that these 45-degree chamfered edges are perfect to tie your boat up to get onto the dock and to get off of the dock. And the dock attendant there is so helpful. It's Crandon State Park Marina, fabulous for fuel.
Right. So going in a clockwise motion down, the next X shows an anchorage called Nixon Harbor. You can't go ashore there, and it's not really a harbor, but it's a great anchorage to watch people doing water sports on the weekends. And then around 5 o'clock, everybody goes home, and it's a nice, quiet place to be.
Yeah, great place, great anchorage.
The next X going south is outside No Name Harbor. You can anchor comfortably out there in most conditions, or you can go inside and anchor. There's a small fee for using their dinghy dock. And then the red arrow heading north shows that you can walk to a grocery store and laundry and restaurants. It's a little bit of a walk, but it is doable. And if you need a lot of provisions, you would certainly get an Uber. So go ahead.
Yeah, there's a Winn-Dixie up there at the top of that red X. You come into No Name Harbor and you walk up to Winn-Dixie, and then they have a free shuttle.
Right.
They have a free electric shuttle that runs up and down Key Biscayne, and you'll go up to Winn-Dixie, buy all your provisions, and then the shuttle will come and pick you up, and they'll drive you right back to the harbor.
Wow.
And then you just dinghy out to your boat, which is on anchor. And we had never used this area before because we used to use Miami Beach, which is now kind of off limits. And then we mainly use Dinner Key.
Really? It's off limits?
Well, they've written some laws that prevent us from coming ashore now. And there's not any place you can anchor anymore up in Miami Beach. So it's these are your two primary places, down here in Key Biscayne Island and then over on Dinner Key. Right?
Okay.
Right. So No Name Harbor is part of a big state park. It's a beautiful facility. There's a lighthouse that you can walk to and climb up and have a view of the ocean. So it's really a very pretty place. And there's a nice restaurant, and it's all good. So No Name Harbor, highly recommend it. But you can also anchor outside safely if it's too crowded, and you can still dinghy in.
Yeah, it gets very crowded in No Name Harbor. We usually anchor outside. Last year, prepping up, going to the Caribbean, we spent about a week inside of No Name Harbor, didn't we?
Waiting for weather.
Yeah.
Final laundry run.
We rented a car from there and then took a car to go see a friend. So
that's right. It was easy to get a car.
Yeah, you can get a car. So it's convenient, a great place.
What are these anchor conditions like?
Well, it's current driven. You have the current running north and south there, flushing in and out. So you're going to lay with your bow into the current is what happens in any current situation until the wind gets maybe 20, 25 knots. So
okay,
it's nice because I like it outside out here because you can lay out a lot of chain and you have a lot of swinging room. When you're in that little tiny harbor, it's very tight and people drag and they don't put out enough scope because it's not enough room to lay out 150 feet of scope. But you go outside, you see it's 12 feet deep there. Put out 100, 120 feet of chain, and you're good. You're good out there. So we've anchored out there more than we've anchored in the harbor.
Okay. And I just want to say thank you to Florida Buckeyes for your comment.
Oh, I didn't see
I
that.
appreciate. I just put it up. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And
So for departures, then it's easy to leave in pre-dawn light from outside. If you're inside the harbor, it's a little harder to get out. But if you're heading for the Bahamas, we leave right from where your pointer is right now, and round that corner and head towards
right through
yeah,
here.
you go right down around Cape
Yep.
Florida Lighthouse. That's the lighthouse. That's the last lighthouse you'll see in USA when you head east. And then next destination is 50 miles east over to Bimini or out to the Berry Islands or down into the Exumas. But that's what you
Okay.
round to go to see. So that's
And
convenient.
why? So it's hard you say at night it's hard, or in the early morning it's hard to get out of No Name Harbor. Is that what you were saying?
just because it's so crowded. There's so many boats anchored, and they might be laying in different directions, and without much light. It is a state park, so there's not a lot of light. They try to keep it dark on purpose. So I don't think I'd want to exit in the dark.
Yeah, there's no need to if you're going to the Bahamas, because it's only 50 miles across to Bimini, which is a 6-hour run. And then you're up on the Bahama Banks, and you run the Bahama Banks all night long. So you leave here at daybreak, or 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning is fine.
So in case I didn't say it, the name of the park is Bill Baggs State Park, and the harbor is No Name Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you zoom back a little bit, we'll continue our clockwise motion.
All right.
There's places south of here that are also state parks, Elliott Key and Boca Chica, great places to anchor and go ashore. And on the west side is Key Biscayne National Park headquarters, which you would need a car to get to, but it's worth seeing if you have the time. And proceeding around to Coconut Grove. Coconut Grove is a distinct neighborhood that's part of Miami. There's 2 X's. The first X shows the location of the mooring field, and the one farther out shows the end of the mooring field where you can anchor and still dinghy in the main channel. Coconut Grove has free public transportation. It connects to railway stations that go to the airport. So it's a great location if you've got crew coming in or family coming in. And there's all kinds of boutiques and shopping and restaurants and grocery stores.
There's Bella Marie giving some condolences. These people here are Miami experts.
Yeah.
They live in Miami. They have a 420. They are the best people. They know this area better than we do because they live here. This is their sailing area. These are great people to connect with in Miami. So look for these people when you're in Miami.
Bill and
I might look them up when I.
Sure, when you go there. They met us last year in No Name Harbor. And treated us to dinner on their boat, and
fabulous.
we had a wonderful time.
Fabulous.
So moving on, the arrow that heads inland in a northeasterly direction is pointing to all the shopping. So it's a far walk to get to a grocery store called Milam's, and there's also a West Marine. So it's quite a walk, and some of the neighborhoods are a little sketchy. So you might want to think twice before you go walking.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm going to interrupt you. We carried a 55-pound rock net anchor for one of my buddies.
Oh my God.
Back at 380. We walked up to the West Marine, picked up a 55-pound rock net anchor, put it on my hand truck, which I had a hand truck, a folding luggage hand truck, and I walked it back to the marina for him. So it's all of this is walkable. It's not too far.
So this is like blocks.
That's
right?
like a mile.
It's like regular, it's residential neighborhoods.
It's beautiful. Coconut Grove is a really nice area. But yeah, all the shopping's up there at the main drag. So you walk up there, you shop, and then you get an Uber back.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. And if you decide you want to go to a Costco, it's about 20 miles away. But we like to provision at Costco because we like some of the things that they have, and also the good prices. So we would usually rent a car for a day and hit a liquor store and hit the Costco. And there's also a Publix farther out. Publix is a chain of grocery stores in Florida that we really like a lot. So now I'd like to talk. Go
Just
ahead.
say, we just want to acknowledge Roger McClure's comment
Oh,
just
yeah.
north of
No Name
just north-
is South Basin, a great anchorage to the left just as you enter the channel. Oh yeah, there's tons of anchorages along there because if you zoom back, Tinsley, you'll see the blue arrows, which are the trade winds. The trade winds are blowing across Biscayne Bay from the east
That's nice.
until a front comes in. So you have Key Biscayne here. You just go up along the shore of Key Biscayne and you anchor along all these places. We actually like all the way up at the top, Virginia Key, where the word Biscayne Bay is, right up at the top. There's a beach right up there. We anchor right up there. So there's tons of places up here to anchor. Biscayne Bay is one of the gems of the entire East Coast that people tend to miss because they think it's big bad Miami. Well, Miami's a dream town. We love it. There's so much to do there. And then you add in Miami Beach, it's even better. So, but the sailing here is some of the best sailing on the East Coast. There's Malin, our buddy down in Stewart.
Wait 1 second.
What?
Before we move on, I'd like to go back to what Roger had to say. Tinsley, if you please zoom in to the right to that X below where your pointer is. Right there.
Here?
Yeah, zoom in there. And the place that Roger's pointing out is below the bottom of the X.
Yes.
So you would come in, there is a channel there
Yep.
where the big red flasher
Right there
is,
where your mouse
and
is.
you'd come in and turn left
Yep.
and tuck up in there. We have never anchored there, but we've taken the dinghy in there and seen it.
Yep.
And it
right
is
there.
a great place.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Right where that anchoring
So,
mark is. Yep.
Thank you to Roger for pointing that out.
Yep.
Okay.
That looks like a great spot. We've not gone in there because we always thought it looked a little tight and scary, but we like more open areas where we lay out a lot of chain. That's sort of the way we go. What's Malin Sparkplug down here in Stewart, Florida?
Malin said, we had the pleasure of spending time with Hayden Radine 2 years ago in Miami and ended up following them to the Exumas. Our heads are still spinning.
Yeah.
We had quite a
So
lot
I'm going to
weather
do it. I had talked to Scott about doing it, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah, this is where you start at. And if you just made Biscayne Bay your destination, you'd be completely happy as anybody, because this is as good as it gets, in my opinion, over here. I mean, yes, we've been through all the Exumas in the Caribbean, but this is still one of my happy places because the sailing is so great. You have tons of anchoring and white sandy beaches, and then you have Miami and you got Coconut Grove and you got No Name. I don't know. Would you agree? It's pretty sweet.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I
there.
stayed at Dinner
Absolutely.
Key in here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's right underneath the two X's above the words Coconut Grove. That is Dinner Key Marina.
Here's Jess Shoemaker making a comment. Sorry for your loss. Nice to see
Yeah.
you back on the podcast. Hopefully forecasting sailing brings you some peace through difficult times, of course. Great to hear helpful information from Hayden and Radine. Thank you, Jesse.
So before we move on, I'd like to comment on the most important things to buy while you're here in Miami to go shopping for.
Okay.
Paper products, whatever your favorite paper products are, squish them, squeeze them, pack them in as much as you can. Toilet paper, paper towels, tissues, wipes, whatever kinds of things you like to have. Make sure you buy them while you're still here.
And
then
why is that? Or they just don't have? It's just real expensive, or
it's really expensive. They don't have a lot to choose from, and it's not the quality that we're accustomed to. But we all have our favorite brands of things, and you will not find those favorite brands in the Bahamas.
I remember that there's like maybe one type of toothpaste or one type of shampoo.
Right.
Exactly.
If you have your favorite brands.
No, you take everything you need, and then you buy a few fresh things when you're over there. You'll see the pictures of the stores. The stores are very interesting.
Thank you, Sailing Wander.
Wander. Look at that. We're on passage now, headed to Puerto Rico. Oh, another happy spot. South Shore of Puerto Rico. Make sure you run the whole South Shore. It's fabulous.
Yes, we talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah.
Hi, Radine. Thank you for your comment, Moonlight Cat. Don't forget the 6 C's. I guess you know what that means.
I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Maybe they'll tell us what that is.
Okay, I
don't
hope they
know.
have a chance
That's
to.
a secret code. I'm not sure what the 6 C's I should know, but I don't know.
Sailing Wanderer.
Heading there
Headed
now
there now
from
from Aruba.
Aruba.
Oh, that's
All
great.
right. Wonderful. So if you just zoom back to all of Biscayne Bay, you see the whole paradise here, and then we'll move on to the. where
Yeah,
you're
so
moving.
this right here, and I love how you say that, like you said that in the last the last couple of information about the Caribbean and the Bahamas, that you said a lot of these along the way are just the perfect destination if that's as
They
far as
are.
you want to go. And then you're saying Biscayne Bay, and I remember Radian had said that you can even practice your sailing, making sure that
Yep.
everything works, and
Yep.
going through here, and it's good sailing, like you
Yep.
said right there. So good to
Yep.
know.
Yes,
You just work out all your systems and you go sailing and you anchor out, you check your systems and you make sure everything's working, because you're not going to get a shot to go to the Bahamas for every 7 to 10 days the weather window opens up. So you got a week to hang out. You might as well hang
Right.
out here and just enjoy this space.
and if you
Sounds
hang out
wonderful.
too long, then you can re-provision
Yeah.
because you will have been eating
Right.
your favorite things.
That's the beauty. You're consuming your provisions that you're taking to the Bahamas. You need to restock that, because maybe on 2 days from now you're going to take off.
So the other thing I'd like to comment about is the other thing that you need to bring with you. What you want is the snacks like chips and nuts and cookies and crackers and pretzels and cereal and granola and dips and sauces and condiments and candy and so on, because it's very likely you won't find exactly what you prefer to have. So when we provision, we try to estimate ahead of time how much of these things we would use in a 2 to 3 month period. And we try to buy as much as we possibly can, because you don't want to not have your
Right.
favorite thing. Then you start to feel sad and deprived.
Right. But my sailing doctor friend, Dr. Mike Parsons, has me focused on the carnivore diet. So now things have changed, because now all I have to buy is meat, eggs, and cheese, according to Mike. And then if I just do that, my blood sugar will come down and I'll be healthier and I'll lose weight. So we're trying to do kind of a blended thing with carnivore
Less
diet.
sugar and less carbs.
Yeah,
There
less
you
sugar,
go.
no carbs. No, I used to make bread and scones and homemade breads all the time. My buddy, Dr. Mike, says, no, that's not what you need to do. So we have this other diet that we're working on as well. So
So here's
So
another
let me-
great, Jim and Lynn.
Here's the 6 C's, which it sounds like you're not going to do now.
crackers, chips, cheese, cookies, and chocolates.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who did
that's
the
it.
cheese?
That-
Yeah.
I can have one of those cheese. That sounds
Yeah.
good. Thank you, Dr. Mike.
Oh,
My
that's
buddy.
Dr. Mike. Okay.
No, this is not Dr. Mike. I'm saying
No.
thank you to
This is
Dr. Mike.
okay. This is
I'm
Lynn
only-
and Jim on
Yeah,
Cat
I'm only
2.
allowed to eat cheese, so that's good.
Out of all those six,
Yeah.
the 6 C's. Okay,
got
that's
you.
very
Yeah.
clever.
Okay.
That's a nice way to remember the list. I actually did forget to say
Those
chocolate.
are important things to take. Yeah.
Definitely.
Because you give away a lot of chocolate in the Bahamas. We take it to
Oh.
the Black Point. Okay, so where are you moving to now?
Well, I'd like to explain that for our circumstances, we have a very large refrigerator and a very
Mhm.
small freezer. So we like to buy things from Costco. We load up on cheeses and packaged meats, prepared,
Yeah.
already cooked meats that are shrink wrapped, and they're good for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You can buy meatballs that way that don't need to be frozen. And we stack them in the very bottom of the refrigerator in reverse order that we need to use them, so that the things that are going to last the
So
longest
organized.
are on the bottom.
Yeah, she
and,
is.
and then so on, and the things that need to be used the most quickly are on the top, so that you don't have to evacuate everything out of the big refrigerator. Let's see. The other thing is, what do we put in our freezer since it's so small? Mainly chicken breasts.
Mhm.
Purdue makes chicken breasts that are individually wrapped, 5 in a package. And so we buy them gradually. You can't buy a whole bunch of them and put them in at once, because the freezer won't freeze them, because if they all go in unfrozen. So Publix grocery store will freeze meat and chicken for you ahead of time. You go in, you buy it, you ask them to freeze it, and you pick it up the next day.
Mhm. Good
So
trick.
that's a really good trick.
Wow,
trick.
that's a good tip.
For
Yeah.
a small freezer like we have, we get the shoebox freezer, the Adler Barber cold machine. It works fine. And that's
But you just have to know how to manage it. And
Yeah.
you can't put in a whole lot of unfrozen things at once. They won't freeze.
Yeah, we provision for 3 months and hardly buy anything once we take off. I mean, it really does work well. All right, let's move on to where are we going next now? So from Biscayne Bay now, the next slide.
It's going to be
Let's
number
see what
3,
number
the Exuma.
2 is. What's number 2 slide?
This was
Okay.
number 2. This is
Right.
number 3.
Well, this just shows how, as you go down the Exuma chain now, you've reached the Exumas up at Hawksbill or Shroud Key, and you're coming down through Wardrick Wells and all these key. There is no shopping here, and you may spend a
Oh.
week or 2 weeks here. So you've
Right.
left Florida. You could be here within, technically, if you're fast, you could be here in 3 days, but most people get here in a week. And now they start coming down through here, and now what?
If you zoom back just a little bit, the top of the map shows the beginning of the Exuma Land and Sea Park.
Yeah, we have that Wardrick Wells.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we are zoomed
Oh,
back.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought we weren't zoomed back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Wardrick Wells, right there. Yep.
Right here.
Yep.
The Exuma's Land and Sea Park encompasses 112,000 acres of islands and water,
Yeah.
from Shroud Key in the north to Compass Key in the south.
Yep.
And in that area, there is no trash disposal. There's no grocery store. There's no restaurant.
No fishing.
There are no bars. You're not allowed to fish. You're not allowed to take shells. You're not allowed to take anything at all.
Wow.
Yeah, this
and
is
so-
paradise. This is
it's
this
spectacularly beautiful.
Wardrick Wells Key right there is number 1 in the Bahamas.
This is
So-
my sister from North Georgia
Whoa.
watching.
Gee,
My
that's
half
good.
sister.
nice.
Aw,
fun.
how sweet.
I told her that she watches. She's got a
Sure.
comment. Thank you, Tina.
How nice. How nice.
I think we did miss noticing that Jim and Lynn on Cattails
Cattails was in here.
had chimed in. They have an island packet 38 named Cattails.
Cattails.
So they're,
Yeah, their
comment.
username is Moonlight Cat, and they
Okay.
made several comments. They said, "So sorry for your loss. See you back. Good to see you back, Hayden and Radine. Don't forget the 6 C's." And then they told us what the 6
Oh,
C's
they
were.
were the
Okay.
60s.
That was
Okay.
them. Yeah.
All right. Lynn's
All
going
right.
to give me a hard time when she
Lynn
sees
and
these
Jim,
next.
Mr. MIT there. Okay.
I should know the 60s.
Right.
Okay. Thank
I love
thank
that you know
for that.
everybody's resume. That's always
I
good
love-
information.
I love the backstories. We love the backstories. So coming down all through here, there's no shopping, there's no stores. It's just paradise because it's isolated private park keys and national park. And until you get to Staniel Key, where you're going next.
Well, don't click the map yet. I'd like to talk a little bit more about Wardrick Wells. So if you
Yeah.
Okay.
could scroll back north again, please. The park office is at Wardrick Wells, and that's where there are mooring balls in 2 different locations. And once a week, they do have a get together on the beach for cruisers to get to know each other. The Bahamas National Defense Force offices are there. They're the Marine Police. And so it is a little bit of civilization,
Yeah.
but they are very, very isolated. One time the supply ship that brings their supplies from Nassau couldn't come due to bad weather, and they all collectively started running out of food, the park office and the National Defense Force. And they were embarrassed to do so, but they got on the radio and asked if any cruisers would please
Yeah.
share a few cans and things until their ship
Wow.
could come in. And as you
We
can
did.
imagine, the cruising community did more than a
Yeah.
can or two. Hayden baked.
I baked some bread, I baked some scones, I
I
was
made
cooking up
brownies.
all kinds of things for
And
them.
people made casseroles
Yeah.
and took in whatever people could share
Yeah.
and spare, they were happy to do. And,
Yeah.
and the staff
Wow.
was so grateful. And of course, we were happy to help them.
That's a destination. Wardrick Wells. If you just say, I'm going to the Exumas and I'm going to Wardrick Wells, that would be one of those destinations to make. And then the next one is, there's so many here, but the next big stop.
Yes.
Yeah,
At the
down.
bottom, if you scroll down a little bit, we'll see Staniel Key.
Yeah.
And
If you go to the next slide, you'll see the details of Staniel Key now.
so Staniel Key is your first big destination outside of the Land and Sea
Yeah.
Park. There's stores, as you can see. There's a blue store and a pink store.
Yeah.
There's fuel and water at their very
Wow, there's
interesting
so
food.
much.
There is.
Well, once you come out of the national parks and there's nothing, this is New York City right here.
Yeah, it feels like
And there's
Manhattan.
pigs there too, right?
There's pigs here on the beach, so you got it all. You got it all.
So The fuel and water dock is kind of treacherous because the
Yeah.
current is very strong through there, but it's doable. And then
Yeah,
right where your pointer is the Daniel Key Yacht Club, which is not a yacht club. It is a restaurant and marina.
And we covered that in the last video. So
Yeah.
if you guys
Yes.
want to go back and watch that.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for that. And then the main dinghy dock is right there at the yacht club.
You beach it up on the beach and walk in.
And then the blue store and the pink store
Yeah.
are right next to each other. We'll show pictures of those in a minute. And further south is a general store that you can walk to or dinghy to. They sell propane there. You need a few days to leave your tank and get it filled.
It might take a week to get your propane tank filled here, but
it is possible
they'll
to do
eventually
so.
fill it from another tank. As I've watched them how they do it, they pour another tank into your tank. It's really sketchy, but you can get propane. It's best to have two propane tanks. It's best to have two.
Yeah, a week.
Yeah, to have
It's
two.
best to have two propane tanks coming down through here. And when you get to Georgetown, you can get them filled easily.
So I see a question from Belle Marie. How do we keep eggs preserved?
Ooh.
We buy our eggs in the States and we keep them refrigerated. We keep them in containers called lock and lock containers that snap closed so that if they tip over, the eggs don't fall out. And we usually take 6 to 8 dozen eggs at a time because we eat a lot of eggs.
We eat 6 eggs every morning, so we eat a lot of eggs.
Now, in the stores here in the blue store and the pink store,
Mhm.
you will find flats of eggs that are not refrigerated. That's because they haven't been washed, and so they're perfectly safe. They're still shelf stable, as they say, for weeks at a time, not refrigerated. But it's tricky to keep a flat of eggs not in the refrigerator. So when we have empty containers, we move the eggs that we buy in the Bahamas and put them in our existing containers.
And you put them in the fridge?
Yes, then we do put them in the fridge.
Now, tell me about this. If it's unwashed, you don't have to tell me about that.
That's absolutely correct. In the Caribbean and the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, you'll find eggs unrefrigerated all over the place.
Mhm.
And because they've never been washed, they have
just
a
washed,
membrane or
like
something.
someone puts it underwater
Right.
and
They're
washes
dirty. They're dirty also.
Yeah, the eggs will be dirty.
Yeah.
But once they're washed, then they become more permeable. And so they're more likely to spoil. And that's why they need to be refrigerated.
Wow.
So the shells actually become.
You heard it here on the Salty Podcast.
There it is.
So the shells don't start to leak, obviously, but they are permeable to the air. And that's what causes them to spoil once they're washed.
There must be some sort of coating on them or something.
Yeah, it's nature's way of preserving them.
Yeah.
And,
I see.
and once we wash it. So years and years ago, America had a chance to decide if they wanted to standardize and make everyone wash their eggs or keep them unwashed. And they made a decision to mandate that we have to wash our eggs. So that's the story on eggs.
I want to talk about this fuel dock on Daniel Key, and then we'll move on here. This fuel dock, I've taken our boat to one time in 9 years, and all the other times I've brought my dinghy in to the dinghy beach there, and you walk around the harbor just a short bit, and you take your diesel jugs and you fill them up. You fill your 5-gallon diesel jugs up, and you take them back to your boat. The problem here is the current is running in and out of that channel very fast, and the tide is about, I don't know, 6 feet, maybe 5 feet. So if you can get on that fuel dock at high tide slack, when everybody wants to get on it, it's very easy to fuel up. But the one time I went in at low tide, and my wind turbine blades on the side I was docking on started tagging the dock, where the fuel attendant was standing, and my wind turbine was hitting the dock at his feet because I was so far down.
Oh my gosh.
My 12-foot wind pole was hitting his dock. So I don't go to this fuel dock. I only do it by dinghy, and I just jug fuel. It's much easier. You're going to jug fuel in Georgetown also. There's no real good fuel docks going down through the Exumas. So that's an interesting side bit to provisioning.
So I know that Tinsley's very interested in seeing where the pigs are.
Well, they're not on this.
I know, but I'm going to show you where they would be. So if you zoom out as much as you can. in the top left-hand corner.
Yeah, I don't have it on this chart.
I know you don't, but if you would head around the corner above the letter M in moorings,
Yeah,
then it's
real
to
close.
the northeast. It's right off the edge of this map.
We don't anchor in this area because the current is so strong. We anchor right on. We drop the anchor on the pigs' heads. It's really close and convenient, and we're right. It's a great beach, and it's fabulous, 10, 15 feet deep, and we anchor right up against the pig beach, and then we dinghy around to here. It's very convenient, way better.
Yeah, I did a reel of you saying anchor up
Yeah.
to the pigs.
Yeah, anchor up, go right into the pigs. Everybody's miles out because they don't want to get close to. I don't know why. Just go till you get to the beach and anchor.
Just till you see the pigs.
When you see the pigs, drop the anchor. That's the rule. Yeah. Okay. What do you got
And you
next?
said that you didn't have to play with the pigs, but
No, I don't play. No,
No.
I've seen the pigs bite too many people. I've seen people medevac out of the pigs. It's
Oh my
not
God.
a wise idea to lay on the beach and try to get a selfie in a bikini with the pig because the pig's going to bite you, and it's not going to be pretty. That I've seen that
Okay.
happen multiple times.
you
Not
heard
good.
it here.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next,
So
Radine?
I think we're
From here we go down to Black Point.
Oh, no, I didn't finish here. In a minute, we'll see pictures of inside the blue store and the pink store. They are
Right.
often open at different times. So that's something to keep in mind. That
And
if
why are
Yeah.
they called this?
Well, if you
Well,
want to bring up some of the pictures, the photographs I sent you, you'll see pink stores and blue stores. If you go forward, there you go. Okay, there's a blue store with our buddy boat Nina years ago. If you back up one screen, you'll see what a typical Exuma's well-stocked store looks like. That's it. That's great provisions right there. You got plantains, onions, bananas. What else
Squash,
you see there?
I see.
Potatoes.
Pineapple.
Yeah,
That's a very, very
Wheat.
well-stocked store.
potatoes.
That's
The
what you're looking
potatoes.
at when you go down here. So don't come down here and expect the provision. Okay. And if you go for a
Okay.
couple more pictures, there's if you go forward a couple more, there's a
So the blue
picture of the
store is
pink-
called Burke's Convenience
Right.
Yes.
Store.
Yeah, Brooks Convenience
But
Store.
everybody just calls it the blue store
'Cause they-
because the walls are
Okay.
painted blue.
Yeah, they painted it bright blue so everybody knows go to the blue store. This is the bigger one, and that's what it looks like walking up past their house. And the store's up there in the corner, and that's the blue store you
Right
walk
here.
up to. Yep,
Yep,
right there's
that's
the store.
The door's open, so
Yep.
you know they're open.
And then if you go forward another slide, yeah, that's the door. Right there's the entrance door. It's small. This is the store of the blue store. That's the shelves, and there's some potatoes, and there's 2 onions, and there's your canned goods that you
2
can
onions.
buy. Right. So you got some water, you
Yep.
got some drink. You're not coming down here to provision. I mean, you're going
I
to
bet
buy.
it's expensive too, isn't it?
Sure,
Oh,
because everything's
terribly.
coming in on mailboat from Florida.
And so right now in this picture, the
Yeah.
shelves are pretty well stocked.
Yeah, that's a good stock.
The day before the mailboat comes, there'll be a lot less.
Yeah, that'll be wiped out. And I think I got another picture of the pink store.
Is
With
this
some
like Boondock or whatever wine or what?
No, who knows what it is?
I think it might
Yeah.
be Mogan David wine.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they do have a liquor store here. You could buy liquor.
Got some water there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
Bottled water.
that's
Yeah.
pretty typical Bahamas provisioning right there. Exuma's provisioning.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go a couple more slides, I think I got a couple other pictures of.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
That's why you anchor off Pig Beach.
That is,
okay.
that is Big Beach.
That's Pig Beach right past my anchor there off the bow. And that's my shadow in 10 feet of water. This is what you go there for. If you go to the next slide, there's even another picture of that. There we are. There's the shadow. That's Pig Beach behind my stern there. So, and nobody's here. No, everybody's a mile out off ashore here. So
Why?
I don't know. They don't go close to the pigs. I don't know why they don't come in closer. It's 10 feet deep.
And it's
No
quiet.
pig is coming up to you there though. They're not going to climb on your boat.
No, they don't come out here. They don't swim out past 10 feet.
So I just see Malin has a comment. Don't miss the rattlers.
Oh,
The
yeah.
rattlers are a type
Oh, I forgot.
of
Well, they're made by Collect Beer. Collect Beer makes a drink.
and they come in different flavors. They
Yeah.
make grapefruit flavor,
Mango.
and mango
And
flavor.
pink grapefruit. Yeah,
Oh.
you said that.
Yeah, I can't remember what the other
Yeah,
flavors.
the Radlers. It's a refreshing sugary drink, and
with a little bit of alcohol.
yeah,
in it.
5% alcohol. People love them. They're very
and
popular.
it's sold in a bottle like a beer bottle
Yeah.
with the same kind of cap.
Yeah.
So you buy them at bars or you buy them by 6-packs
Yeah.
and have them on your boat. And we've been known to buy more than 6
We
packs.
bought 2 cases because one case was supposed to go to a friend, and then we never linked up with them. And then I don't drink that sugary stuff, thanks to Dr. Mike. I try not to. So we ended up giving them all away. We even have some we brought home here from the Bahamas a couple years ago. I don't drink them, but they're very sweet and they're good. But if you go to another slide, I think I got a couple more pictures of the pink store in here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, that is the pink store, which is the other competing store to the blue store. And again, that is a very well-stocked grocery store. And that's the only shelf you have. That's the center shelf. You walk around that center shelf.
The center aisle.
Center aisle, and that's it. So again, you're not coming down here to buy things.
No.
You're coming down here to go swimming and snorkeling and the beaches and the pigs, and it's just remote. It's very remote. It's not a French island, because if it's a French island, that would be really well stocked.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to Chris Head. Good one. Malin loved the Rattlers. Chris Head loves the Rattlers. Everybody loves. Well, the real trick on a Rattler that people do is you put the Rattler on ice, and then you add your Mount Gay rum to it and make it as strong as you want it to be, because it's a real mango flavored sweet drink. So you can tame that down with like half of the glass of rum, and then it's not so sweet anymore. Maybe. I don't know.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for everybody that's commenting. Please keep
That's
them
fine.
coming.
There's
We
your pink
enjoy it.
store. That's what the pink store front door looks like. You walk in, it's one shelf. Yep. Pink piece.
I think it's Pearl. Pink,
Oh, Pink Pearl?
Supermarket.
Pink Pearl. Yeah.
It's Hugh. It says Hugh
Hugh
Smith.
Smith. I guess
Hugh
that's
Smith.
the name of the
Pink
owner. I don't
Pearl.
know.
Yep. So that's your next best store right there. How
Okay.
about that? So now we'll go back to the charts, and our
Okay.
next area is where reading.
Well, just like to mention one thing that you should do before you leave the States is try out different flavors of
There you go.
boxed milk,
Yeah.
because you can't find fresh milk in all of these
Nowhere.
places.
Nowhere.
You're going to run out of fresh milk. And so everybody has their favorite. Some people like Parmalat. Some people like Borden's. The Dollar General store actually sells a very good generic brand of milk that we bought last year in Stewart before we left Stewart. So you need to find the kind of boxed milk that works for you. So it's also called shelf stable milk. It's in the grocery store near the canned milk, and it's a 1 quart box size, and it's shelf stable for like 6 months. But once you open it, it does have to be refrigerated.
Yeah, we just keep it in the
So-
fridge and
okay.
get it cold, and it's good. I mean, we use it in our coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. I drink it black. So
Oh, good. You don't need that.
Then you don't need to
It's
find
easy.
some milk. Good for
That's
you.
actually better for you.
It
That's
is
smart.
better.
All right, so this is the next island down, which is called the Great Guana Island, but it's also the village of Black Point. And this is a paradise place that everybody stops at after Staniel Key. This is only 5 miles south of Staniel Key.
Right.
And the X is where we anchor. Most people will anchor out there where the words dinghy dock are, but we anchor up in the cove up here because the dinghy dock is right there very close. And then you'll
Yeah.
see these.
why wouldn't
so
most people go there?
because they want to be down near Lorraine's where the laundry is, and they like to go in and get their laundry done. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the words Lorraine's Cafe, Yacht Club, Pub, Laundry, Barber, and then Sunset, Emerald Bay, Sunset Grill. Great place. So there's all these little pubs and restaurants along here, but talk about the provisioning of food here as well.
Lorraine's mom lives next door to Lorraine's restaurant, and she's quite elderly, but she still bakes every day.
Oh
So
my
she
gosh.
makes regular bread and
Yep.
she makes coconut bread, and she sells out every day. So if you want to make sure you get some of her bread, go in a day early and order it for the next day, and she'll save it for you.
$10 a loaf of coconut bread, best bread you will ever
Coconut
eat.
bread. That sounds
Oh, it's so
wonderful.
good.
Gosh.
It's not particularly sweet, and it has a swirl of fresh grated coconut that's been roasted,
Paradise.
swirled through the bread with a little bit of sugar and cinnamon on it. Oh, it is so good, and it makes
Do
fantastic.
you just put
French
some
toast.
butter on it and
Oh, yeah.
yum?
Definitely. Or make your French toast. It's really, really good.
It's the
Oh
best.
my gosh.
It's the best.
So the laundry is the best laundry in the entire Exuma chain, even better than Georgetown. So everybody stays to do their laundry there. One trick is to go in the day before you want to do laundry and buy your tokens ahead of time. You need a special token to go in the slots for the machines, because you might come in the morning and the laundry room might be open, but if the attendant isn't there, you can't buy tokens to get started. So buy your tokens
These
ahead
are
of time.
great tips. These
Oh,
are
thanks.
absolutely great.
Yeah.
And the person that runs the laundry also does haircuts on the porch on the back side of the laundry.
Oh
So you
my
need to make
gosh.
an appointment with her to get your hair cut if you choose to do so. She does.
And
men
they do a good job?
Oh yeah.
reasonably
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Yeah, I've got a haircut
mean,
there.
for
They
women-
just
What about
measure
from
them.
women? Just men
Yeah.
or?
Oh,
They do women
Yeah.
too, and most people
Oh.
are pretty happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
Wow,
This
okay.
is a must. This is everybody stops here.
Yeah. And it's a good destination too, right? That's what you always
Yeah.
say.
And next to Lorraine's Cafe, they built a yacht club, the Black Point Yacht Club now. They just built another building out on the water. You bring your dinghy in there, and it's become another popular conch fritters and seafood restaurant and a little pub. There's all these little pubs along the water along here.
And
Okay.
this is probably the first Black Point's the first settlement that you'll come to that truly feels like an out island of the Bahamas, a Bahamian village. On Sunday mornings, the families dress up and they walk to one or the other of the several churches, and some things are closed on Sundays, and it's just a really quiet atmosphere. Everyone is very polite, and you feel very safe and welcome, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we waited here 9 or 12 days last year until the high winds stopped so we could go out the inlet and make our run for the Caribbean. This is where we left for our long run to go to Crooked Island, and Crooked Island we made Turks and Caicos, and Turks and Caicos, a Dominican Republic. But we sat here at that X for probably 9 or
I think it was
10
9
days. And
Wow.
and the wind was blowing east 20, 30 miles an hour. And when the front came in, it goes south, then it goes southwest, and then it goes west. Look where we are with the west wind. This is really dangerous. You're on a lee shore, but the wind goes west and starts blowing like crazy in here. But then it goes northwest, and you've got that northern shore to protect you. So as soon as it went northwest, we up anchored and drove out along that north shore, hung a U-turn and went out the inlet, and we were out to sea with a 25 knot northwest wind to sail southwest with. So it worked out really well. But yeah, this is a great anchorage. It's just not protected when the fronts come in, because the fronts clock around from east to south to west to north, and you're getting this clocking wind. But it's a nice, secure, solid anchorage to lay out a lot of chain and be secure in. And then you have these little stores in.
So if you see the words Black Point Settlement and you look to the right, you see a body of water.
Yeah.
That is a inlet, and the waves come crashing in there, and lots of times you get water spouts shooting up. It's really fun to walk.
It's a cove. It's not an inlet.
It's a cove, right? But the water comes roaring in with the big waves and big winds, and it's fun to go watch the spouts. And on the bottom of the screen is the Sunset Bar. We forgot the name Emerald. It's actually called Emerald Sunset Bar and Grill, and that's a great place.
To me, that's the best place in Black Point. I mean, Lorraine's is fabulous, but most people don't walk down here to the end of the point for some reason, and it's not as popular. But I think it's the better place in Black Point. We go there all the time.
If you're lucky, you'll be here on a day when there's a fundraiser going on for one of the churches or one of the schools, and all the moms will get together and cook and sell tickets to the ribs and chicken and the macaroni and cheese. The macaroni and cheese in the Bahamas is the best on the planet. It's unlike any mac and cheese you've had anywhere else. It
pretty
is
good.
baked. It is dense. It has
Crunchy.
hot pepper sauce in it. The top layer is crunchy. The rest of it is solid. It's not. It doesn't separate. They cut it with a knife and a fork and a spatula and serve it in cubes. So it's not the wet kind of macaroni and cheese that we're accustomed to. It's
You don't
it's
scoop it out with a spoon.
exactly.
You actually cut it like a cake.
Right.
Yes, into squares. You're right. So we had some of our best sailing ever entering Black Point with Malin and Linda Stout on their island packet. And the other packets that were with us, we had a raucous sail coming in there one day.
Fabulous sail.
One of the best days ever. Lots of fun.
The sailing down here is so good because it's always east trade winds blowing across these islands, and you're behind the islands running north. You're running north and south. The only problem you have in the Exumas is 7 to 10 days, a front's going to come and it's going to clock the south winds, west, north. You're going to have that scenario, and you're going to do a 360, and you're going to be facing into the west wind on a lee shore. So you better have a big anchor and a lot of chain and know how to set it, and you'll be okay. But that's going to happen every 7 to 10 days. And that's why everybody loves Georgetown. They get to Georgetown, there's protection on the west. There's an island to the west and an island to the east. So
let me ask you, can I ask you a question? Okay,
Yeah.
so isn't there, it goes counterclockwise and then clockwise and counterclockwise, depending if it's a high pressure or a low pressure?
It's always clockwise. It's always a low pressure coming through, and the wind will always go clockwise. So you got your east trade winds, and when the wind goes south, that's your indication it's going to go southwest, west, northwest, and north. It's in the clocking, and it clocks as the low pressure comes across from Chicago down to Philly up to New England. These low pressures come out of Canada all winter long, and they're dragging a cold front with the blue V's that you see in a weather map, and that V is a cold wedge of cold air coming through. And when that cold wedge comes through, that's what diverts the trade winds up, and it spins the trade winds around in a clocking manner. And it happens
so when you get the west wind, the wind coming from the west, and you're in this anchorage right here, how long is it?
Well, we rode out west winds there all night long and into the morning. And in the
That's
morning,
not bad. I mean,
the waves
it's less than a day.
Yeah,
but imagine the west winds were such that the waves came up in this X where we are, that my anchor bowsprit is diving under the waves.
Oh,
and then the boat goes down and it pulls on its anchor chain, and it's like a wild horse, and then it goes up and it goes down, and the bowsprit goes into the wave and comes up again. It's doing that all night long.
So you don't sleep.
And then it's rolling left and right. So you get no sleep, and you just want the wind to carry on north and get up.
So when it gets northwest, then you've got this little bit of blockage here.
A little bit.
Is it better?
North is best, but northwest.
North is best, yeah.
Yeah, north. You want north. Now, once it goes north, you're good.
So the wind from when it goes north and then all the way to south, how long is that period?
A frontal passage is usually a good 24 hours of clocking wind. It's about a full day where the wind will clock around. And but
sometimes the beginning of it's slower. The south can last longer. The southeast can last, or southwest can last. Once it goes to west and northwest, it's pretty fast.
It's completely hard. When you look at predict wind, it's completely predictable on. You look where the low is, and you go day by day by day, and you look at how fast is the low moving across the country. And a fast moving low, it's shorter, and it's the lows that come out and park themselves over Cape Hatteras and sit there and spin in a nor'easter, and the northeast of USA is getting a blizzard, which is what you want down south, because then you get good winds to sail. But when a nor'easter is blowing up north, it can be strong down in the Bahamas all the way through Florida, and it can reach almost the Turks and Caicos. About once you get to the Turks and Caicos, you get out of the fronts, which is why a lot of people in the Bahamas run past Georgetown and get to the what are called the Ragged Islands. The Ragged Islands get you below the fronts, and that's just all
Okay.
calm trade winds.
Wow.
It's very nice.
So one thing I'd
Okay.
like to throw out with this discussion of weather is one of the
Yeah.
best places to avoid the west and north winds is up at big major spot, Pig Beach. There's good protection there. Our chart didn't show it, but there's great
Right.
protection there.
We
Yeah,
showed
Pig
that in
Beach-
the last video.
Right, because Pig Beach has this long, about 1 mile long set of islands that goes west. So you get in there to Pig Beach, and you have this row of islands north of you that go west. And so when the wind does clock, as soon as it goes anything north of west, that row of islands protects you.
Protects you from the
Okay.
waves.
Yeah,
You
it's-
still get the wind.
It's great.
But
Pig Beach
it's
is
a,
great.
It's a great location for weather.
It's
And then
fabulous.
if you're in Georgetown inside the
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
down. Let's go down there. That's the next slide. So from
okay.
Black Point, most people will go down one more island to like Little Farmers or Galleon Cut, and then they'll head out to sea and they'll go for here. This is Georgetown. Now, what I captured here is just the town side of Georgetown. Georgetown is a big harbor, 1 mile wide, and to the top of the screen would be another set of islands that will be protecting you from north and east winds. But what I did is I just zoomed in on just the town. So now,
Okay.
Radine, explain this setup here.
Well, when we want to do fuel and water and diesel and any provisioning we might need to do, we up anchor from 1 mile away
Yeah.
and anchor where the X is and where the anchoring symbol is. And then it's a short dinghy ride into town. That area is called Kids Cove.
Mhm.
And there's a bridge that goes from one point of land across to the other, and you can take your dinghy through there. And once you're inside Lake Victoria, it's easy to tie
Is
up.
it-
At the,
Is this right here? Is
Yeah,
this
yeah, you go
Okay.
through there. That's
go through
right.
there.
Right there. That little bridge is called Dinghy Passage,
Yeah.
and you go
Okay.
under a little tight bridge, and the dinghy dock is right there to the left,
Okay. Got
Right
it.
there.
right
Exactly.
there. So you tie up there.
And at that dinghy dock, there is a free reverse osmosis water tap. So people bring their jugs in to fill up
Wow.
with water.
And that's why everybody's in Georgetown. Free water. It's a big, big deal.
Free water. I didn't know that.
It's a big deal. It is.
Yes,
So-
it is.
It's a big deal.
The town pays for it to attract cruisers.
Attract, but-
to come,
oh,
and we're
wow.
grateful for that. And on the right-hand side, as you're entering Lake Victoria, is the fuel dock
Mhm.
and the dinghy dock for
Yeah.
that. So you can get your diesel jugs filled and your dinghy gas jugs filled.
I've jugged tons and tons of fuel out of that dinghy dock there. 5-gallon jugs, put them in the dinghy, take them out to the boat, pour them in. So you refuel your boat here by jugging fuel out to your
You're
boat.
getting a good workout.
Yeah, it's a workout, but you get used to it.
And
It's
everybody
easy.
else is doing it too.
It's
so
easy.
You meet people
Yeah.
doing their chores as well.
We have five 5-gallon jugs for cruising, for traveling. We hold 50 gallons in the boat, and then we have 25 gallons on deck when we're making a long run. And that gives us about 5 to 600 mile range is what we can run if we
Wow.
would motor all of that. So,
Right.
but the 5-gallon jugs are the answer. They're convenient. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah, those
So
are the
as-
easiest to handle for me too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can lift them. Right.
Mhm.
So you
So-
got the grocery store there.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a bank. We've never used it, but there is one.
Mhm.
And a liquor store and several restaurants. And the grocery store is surprisingly well equipped. Lots of frozen food, lots of fresh produce.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive, and it does vary with the arrival of the mailboat.
I should have a picture of that store. I don't, but the store in Georgetown is like a small Acme. I mean, it has maybe 5 aisles, and they're pretty long, probably 40 feet long or whatever. But it's a really well-stocked grocery store. And then the mailboat comes in every week and reprovisions the store, and that's when everybody runs over with their dinghies and buys everything up. So
And if the mailboat's late, then it's the topic of discussion on the radio in
yeah,
Georgetown. Everybody's
It's a-
wondering
yeah.
when's the mailboat coming.
it's fun. This 300 boats will be living here in the wintertime. They will race
You know,
through all
well-
those.
You know what we'll have to do is another video talking about all the costs.
Yeah, we got a lot of costs. We know
The
what
3
it
months
costs.
in the 3 months in the Bahamas and the way you guys do it and never use a marina and
Right.
and get
Right.
your food in
No.
advance and be interesting for me actually
Yeah.
to see how much all this costs.
Yeah, we don't dock anywhere for 6 months. Usually when we're cruising, we're on anchor for 6 months. I can't think of
Well, we did anchor at
Chub Key to check in.
check in.
1 or 2
Right.
nights
And then
last year.
You stayed there
and,
2 nights.
Yeah.
2 nights.
And then Crooked Island.
Crooked Island. Yeah, we docked 1 night in Crooked Island, and that was it for 6 months last year.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
you
don't dock.
just save a ton of money doing that.
It gets once we get the boat out of the marina and launched and out on anchor, it gets cheaper.
Yeah.
In the marina and paying the boatyard storage fees, and it gets expensive until you get the boat on anchor.
Right.
Something else
Okay.
I'd like to say about Georgetown is that there is an airport here. So this would be the first international airport since leaving Nassau. So if you need to have, again, family, friends come and visit, or you have crew coming, Georgetown is the place to do it.
Yeah.
Flights from Miami to Georgetown. And there was one more thing I wanted to say. I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Sorry, I put up those comments, sir.
Yes, Roger McClure.
Should you convert to Bahamian? The Bahamas has their own money, but it's 1-for-1 with the US dollar, and the US dollars are accepted everywhere.
Yeah. Take a lot of $20 bills, take cash, stash it on your boat, hide it in different places, and then also make sure you have 2 or 3 credit cards in case one credit card gets compromised. Then you have a backup credit card, because credit cards do get compromised. We've had that happen multiple times in the Bahamas. So
But they just don't work anymore.
Well, no,
No.
people steal the number, then the credit card company recognizes fraud and they shut down the
Okay.
card. And the credit card company says, "Oh, we shut down your card. We're going to send you another one to your house." And they mail
Right.
you another credit. Well, you can't get it. So
Right.
you need to that card's done now. That one's over. So you need to have
How
another.
about, did they
credit card.
take American Express, or do you use
Yep,
it mostly
some do.
Master?
Not very often in the Bahamas.
What we learned
Right.
last year, or a couple years ago, we learned about virtual credit cards. All of your credit card companies, you'll go onto the website for your credit card company, and you will look for the topic of virtual credit card. And you can make yourself a virtual number that's tied to your credit card, and then you can set the parameters of that virtual number, like maybe only $1,000, or it can only be used one time on this date, whatever the parameters are. You set it. Then when you go and use it someplace, it's very safe and secure because it's not your real card. It's a virtual number tied to your real card. That's
So how
the
do you
way.
use that? If
Well,
it's
if you
virtual, how
buy
do you?
something online, whenever I
Okay.
go to buy something online and I click to type in my credit card number, it pops up. You want to use your virtual number, and then it
Okay.
populates my virtual number automatically. But you want to get virtual credit card numbers also. That's a very secure thing to do when you're.
What about GPay or Apple Pay?
Yeah, they use that. Some places use that. Not as popular as the States, obviously, but.
Right.
Something else to know is don't book a credit card using a rental car using a virtual credit card number, because when you show up to rent a rental car, they want to see a copy of the real card. Well, then your card doesn't match the number you booked it with, and it's a big problem. So just don't use it for a rental car booking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mainly cash in the Bahamas. We use credit card everywhere we can. One card everywhere we can, and then we pay cash when we can't. And then when your car gets compromised, then you kind of decide what you're going to do next. But
what about tipping?
The Bahamas grading.
The standard in the Bahamas is to tip less than you would customarily tip in the United States. 10% is pretty much the standard.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
The
like
people
when
are
you get
they're so
when you get
appreciative.
fuel.
No, you don't tip when you get fuel. No.
Okay.
No, you just pay the fuel, whatever you're going to carry a diesel jug up to the fuel station. They're going to give you the hose to fill it. And then whatever comes up on the fuel gauge, you pay that. So no, I never tip for fuel because you're carrying and jugging your own fuel and pumping your own fuel. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you look at a couple more slides, I don't know. I don't think we have any more slides past Georgetown. I think they're just pictures. That's the stores that we saw. The blue store. There's the blue store, and then there's the shelves of the blue store. That's anchored out, and that's kind of there. It is. That's a wonderfully stocked grocery store there.
And then that's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, we sure do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
So does anybody else have any questions? They just threw some great knowledge at us here.
I hope so. I hope it helped. I hope that helped.
And well, we're gonna definitely want to have you guys back. There's just like so many questions, so many topics we could cover.
Yeah,
And
we could talk about the Caribbean next when we get back down to Antigua.
Yeah, like about provisioning or
No, we'll talk about the places to go in the Caribbean,
okay.
the
All right.
Caribbean, all the great anchorages.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Now we talked what we were talking before. What were we, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, Tim Lynn says thanks.
Tim Lynn, thanks a lot. Thank you, Tim. You're welcome. It was a good time. Appreciate it. Tinsley, you're great at this. I really appreciate all the technology you've gone through to figure out how to set this all up. And especially
that's what I was going to say. You guys, if anybody watching notices, they have a real professional looking microphone in front of them.
Look at Tinsley made us get this little fancy Shure microphone now. So we got the real rig now.
and they're going to be taking it to their boat. And when are you going to be going to your boat?
Oh yeah, we just December 1, we fly down to Antigua, and we launch the boat on December 3, and then we'll rig it up. Nice to see you, Chris. Good to see you. We're going to be
doing some podcasts with them in the Bahamas, and they'll have their professional podcast equipment with their ring light and their microphone and boom arm and
goodness, fancy. You got us into this.
I'm so glad you did it. I mean, it's such a quality sound. Thanks. You guys sound great. You look great.
Oh, good. Thanks so much. Really appreciate your work, Tinsley. You're amazing.
As I said before, you make this fun.
You make it fun. You really, and the technology you have behind all this, I don't know how to set all this up. I'm just talking into the mic you told me to get. But appreciate it.
Well, this is you guys. I do post these on the audio podcast sites, which is above Hayden's head there. That's just a few of them. We got Apple, we got Spotify there, we got Amazon Music, we got iHeart. There's really about 20 of them that I'll be posting to, that I post to, and your episodes do get a lot of downloads on the audio side.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Anyway, thanks for making this so easy for me this time.
You're welcome.
I'm going to start coughing, so
we're here for you. We're here for you.
Thank you. We're going to do this again. And with that, we'll say Salty Abandon.
Out.
Out.
Out.